meeting.
I nominate Paul Nan. I nominate Ollie, sorry.
I second that enthusiastically.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you.
All right.
Councillor Sykes, you'll be the chair for the meeting, so I'll hand over to you.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for the introduction. First of all, you've got a few items of procedural business. So are there any declarations of substitutes today?
I'm substituting Councillor Lyons.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? None from me.
None from me.
Okay.
None.
Thank you very much. And regarding exclusion of press and public, there are no non-public items on the agenda, so press and public are not excluded. And I think we have Sarah Booker-Lewis here, so that's great. So this is an application for a variation of a premises licence for presuming eds, 114 to 115 London Road, Brighton. Can we have a round of introductions first, please? And can you make sure your microphone's on when you're speaking, and if possible your camera, and can you turn off your mic and camera when not speaking? And so so if we have a round of introductions, then I'll just remind everyone of the procedure to be followed. So councillors first of all, please.
Councillor Parrott for Westbourne and Poets Corner, Councillor Westbourne and Poets Corner, and a member of the licensing panel.
I'm Paul Nan. I'm a councillor for Wish and a member of the licensing panel.
Thank you very much. And I'll go to our colleagues in the big room, please.
My name's Joanna. I'm representing Pres Ed Limited today. I'm Joanna Onisiforu of Irwin Mitchell.
Thank you.
Hello, Richard Grills, and presuming Ed's is my place.
Thank you very much indeed. And just looking around my screen, I'm going to go to MB, please. Okay, yeah. Can we have Joanna's full name, please? Sarah's asked for the press.
Yes, it's Joanna Onisiforu.
Okay. Is that right, Sarah? Do you want maybe you could stick the spelling in the chat? If that's all right, Sarah. So yeah,
in the chat.
Would you mind? Sarah's here for she's our local government reporter. So she wants to make sure we spell your name right. Okay, well, while it's happening, Marie.
I'm
Sarah.
Marie Button. I'm Democratic Services Officer and the clerk for the meeting.
Sarah, then Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Sarah Cornell, and I'm the licensing officer that has put a representation in for the licensing authority.
And I'm Rebecca Siddell, legal advisor to the panel.
Corinne, and then Claire, please.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Corinne Hardcastle. I'm the licensing officer introducing the application today.
Thank you. Claire.
Hello, I'm Claire Abdelkader. I'm the police licensing officer for Sussex Police today.
Sarah BL, and then James.
Good morning, Sarah Booker-Lewis, local democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Right, thank you very much. So the procedure we're going to follow is the usual procedure. We'll hear representation from the licensing officer, then from the responsible authorities, and then from the applicant. And after each of those representations, we will have questions first from the panel, and then from other parties present. And once that's all happened, we'll have summaries from each party, and then we, the panel, will retire to come to a conclusion on this application for a variation. So the first of those items is the representation from the licensing officer. So can we have that now, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody, again. As we have heard, this hearing is for an application for a variation of the premises licence. Can you hear me okay?
Got an echo somewhere. Someone's got two machines on.
Okay, so yes, so this hearing is for an application for a variation of the premises licence for presuming eds situated at 114 to 115 London Road, Brighton. The application proposal is set out in detail at Appendix A of today's agenda at pages 25 to 28 and proposes to licence the first floor of the premises and extend the current terminal hour for all licensable activities from midnight until 1 a.m. every day, with the premises closing at 1:30 a.m, and to also extend hours on New Year's Eve to the beginning of hours on New Year's Day. The proposed plans of the premises can be found at Appendix B, which is pages 29 to 31, and the existing premises licence can be found at Appendix C, which is pages 33 to 34. 2 representations were received to the application. These were from Sussex Police and the Council's licensing team. The representations contain concerns relating to the licensing objectives of the prevention of public nuisance, prevention of crime and disorder, and public safety. And these representations can be found in Appendix D, which is pages 45 to 48 of today's papers. Additional conditions have also been proposed by Sussex Police, and these can be found as an addendum to today's agenda. The premises sits within a special stress area, which, as stated in our statement of licensing policy, is an area of special concern in terms of the levels of crime and disorder and public nuisance experienced within it. New and variation applications for premises within the special stress area will not be subject to the presumption of refusal, but operators will be expected to pay special attention when drawing up their operating schedules in order to make positive proposals to ensure that their operation will not add to the problems faced in this area. As the panel will be aware, the statement of licensing policy includes a matrix approach for licensing decisions with provisions for a terminal hour for all classes of licensed premises in a particular area. This recognises the diverse operations and different risks presented by those premises. The matrix provides a framework of what the licensing authority would like to see within its area and gives an indication of the likelihood of success or otherwise to investors and businesses making application. The matrix today can be found on page 12 of today's agenda. However, this policy is not absolute, and it is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Corinne. Any questions from the panel for Corinne? Is that a hand there, Sam?
Yeah. Can I just ask, sorry, could you just clarify for me the New Year's Eve to New Year's Day hours, because that kind of could mean a lot of things. I wasn't sure.
Yes, it's an extension that historically premises have applied for with the Licensing Act. It effectively means that when they finish trading on New Year's, whatever the day falls on New Year's Eve, which is either going to be midnight or 1 a.m. if this variation is granted, they could then go all the way through to the beginning of permitted hours on New Year's Day. So it's effectively a 24-hour thing.
Right.
Potentially.
Okay.
So
I wondered about that as well.
Okay. And do we have is that a normal? Can I just check? Is that
some of the more historic licenses will have it. It saves the premises having to apply for a temporary event notice.
Okay. Okay.
Just for that particular time of year, obviously. But yeah, you'll find it on quite a lot of the historic sort of licenses.
Okay.
Okay. The only sort of observation I had was that this is a slightly obvious one, is that we're operating, this is under the old statement of licensing policy, isn't it? We have a new one which has a few changes, which is on the way, which hasn't been adopted by this council yet. So this was applied for and is being considered under the existing old SOLP. Yeah. Anything from you?
That's correct, yes.
Paul?
No, thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much for that, Corinne. So then we'll go to, can we go to Sarah Cornell next, please, for your representation?
Yes, of course. I'll keep mine quite brief. As you've seen on page 41 of the agenda, I've put my representation in and hopefully everybody's read it. So I make this representation on behalf of the Council's licensing team in their capacity as a responsible authority in relation to the variation application to the premises licence, more so in relation to the extension of hours from midnight to 1 a.m. So as we have heard, the application is to licence the first floor and to extend the current hours for all the licensable activities. And I have seen the conditions the police have submitted this week that they have been working on with the applicant should the panel decide to grant the application. This representation is made as the licensing team have concerns that the application could have a negative impact on the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance, and is against our existing statement of licensing policy. And the premises is situated in our special stress area. The licensing team act as guardians of the council's statement of licensing policy, and I invite the panel to carefully scrutinise the application and decide if it constitutes exceptional circumstances to depart from our existing policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And I realised I omitted to ask the applicant if they had any questions for Corinne after the introduction just now. So I'm going to go to the applicant first of all. And if you have any questions either for Corinne or for Sarah, then please would you share those with us now?
I think I would probably prefer to go through what our submissions are and address the objections at that time, if that's okay with you, just because I think it would naturally flow from what we are presenting. And in terms of the representations, as you've mentioned, the conditions have now been agreed with police, and I believe that they are being put before the panel for consideration based on what we have agreed.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so no questions from you for Sarah, Corinne at this time. So then I'm going to go to the panel. I'm sort of messing around with the order a little bit here. Any questions from the panel for Sarah Cornell? I don't have any myself.
No, no questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Any questions from the police to Sarah?
No, thank you.
I'll get this right in the end. Okay. All right. So we're all done with your representation. So then I'll go to Claire for the Police Licensing Authority, please, for your representation.
Thank you, Chair. So as mentioned, this is an application for a variation of the premises licence for presuming eds on London Road in Brighton. It's located within the special stress area as defined by the current Brighton and Hove City Council Statement of Licensing Policy, and that's one of the reasons why police have brought this before the committee to consider today. Additionally, conditions were placed on the licence at its grant in July 2016, so we wanted those to be considered as well. The variation seeks to amend the licence in a number of ways, largely relating to timings, conditions, and consequently the operating style of the venue, both now and in the future. So these amendments include, number one, extending the current hours for all licensable activities by 1 hour. So these are currently midnight, so it'll be 1 o'clock with a closing time of 1:30 daily. To remove current premises licence conditions 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 12 and 17 under Annex 3 and add 3 new conditions as listed in the paperwork you have. To amend current conditions 14 and 15 and to amend the plan of the premises post-planning permission grant to show how the premises will look once building work has been carried out. So to make it straightforward, I'll try and deal with each of these variation points separately because there's a number of facets to the application. We've obviously had a number of discussions with the applicant outside of this meeting, and so things have obviously moved forward from when the original application was put in. So regarding the extending of licensable activities until 1 o'clock with a closing time of 1:30, I would say this is the aspect of the variation that causes most concern to Sussex Police, as the area of London Road, particularly the southern end nearest the level, is known to be problematic and does experience high levels of crime. Police licensing use their own recording system for incidents in and around licensed premises, and I've looked at some crime stats relating to this. I looked at the 12 months between the 6th of October 2024 and the 5th of October 2025 within a 0.25 mile radius, which is about 400 metres. For reference, this stretches just north of Preston Circus, down to St Peter's Church to the south, and from Brighton Station and the railway line to the west, to roughly just below the bottom of Elm Grove to the east. During this time, there were 5,425 recorded incidents which will have required some kind of police interaction, attendance or time. And during this same time period, there were 2,255 recorded crimes. The top three crime types throughout the week are theft, which make up 45% of the crime, violence against the person, which make up 24% of the crimes, and public order, which make up 9% of the crimes. I know in previous hearings it's been mentioned it would be good to have some kind of comparison between different areas. So I did have a look at West Street, and I also looked at Queen's Park Road to give some kind of comparison. So in London Road, the total crime numbers for that specific period, October to October, we heard was 2,255. In West Street, there were 4,479 crimes, that's double. And in Queen's Park Road, there were 285. So it shows that there is a big difference. But interestingly, when I looked at the percentages of the crime types, particularly between London Road and West Street, actually the percentage of crimes is very similar. So in London Road area, theft makes up about 45% of the crime, and in West Street it makes up 41% of the crime. Violence against the person, 24% in London Road, 26% in West Street. Public order, 9% in London Road, 11% on West Street. So it is a similar level of crime, just to give you that comparison. London Road is a busy arterial route which is in and out of Brighton, leading to the A23, so it sees high foot traffic and road traffic throughout the year. We therefore have concerns about extending hours at a venue in an area that's already problematic. The applicant has offered a condition relating to a minimum of 2 licensed SIA door staff on a Friday and Saturday from 2300 until half an hour after the premises closes, when the premises opens beyond midnight. They've also agreed to a number of other conditions, which it may be felt by you, the committee, is sufficient to manage and mitigate the potential crime and disorder risk in this area, but I'll go into further details around the changes and the further amendments to the conditions shortly. As mentioned in our representation, Presuming Ed sits in the West Hill and North Lane ward, which the Public Health Framework, which has been updated now to 2024-25 data, ranks this ward as number 1 for all violence against the person, non-injury assault and criminal damage. These are all crime types that could affect the type of venue we're considering today, and does demonstrate the higher risk to the licensing objective of crime and disorder in this area. Finally, the hours being asked for fall outside the current decision-making matrix of the Brighton and Hove City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, which was covered by the Licensing Authority Officer, Sarah Cornell. The second part of the variation is looking at conditions. So regarding the removal of the number of conditions listed and the addition of 3 new conditions. So just to give you a bit of background about the premises, they were granted a premises licence after a panel hearing on the 20th of July 2016. Sussex Police raised representation to the original application and attended the hearing for the grant of the licence. I was the licensing officer myself for the application, and so I do have a good knowledge of the history of the venue, and I did attend the original hearing. Longer hours were originally applied for, but reduced as part of the consultation process, and conditions were agreed around the premises being a cafe bar with no vertical drinking. And those later hours were formed into a condition around special event extensions for the Brighton events. When Sussex Police receive a variation to remove or amend conditions placed on a premises licence by a committee, we typically bring it before a committee again to allow them to make a decision around this, as is the case with Presuming Eds. Additionally, by removing and amending conditions, particularly conditions 1, 2, 3 and 4 from the premises licence, it is in essence changing the nature of this premises from a cafe bar where alcohol consumption was limited to persons seated at tables with a waiter at service to a more performance-led venue with vertical drinking and no food having to be available. This again is something that we feel the committee should be aware of and probably able to consider and discuss within a panel hearing. As I'm sure the operator would detail in their submission, the current DPS, Richard Grills, has been DPS since the grant of the current licence. He's been a named director of the 2 companies that have held the premises licence since 2016, and so is very much a constant at the premises and to the premises licence. He first approached Sussex Police around these potential changes in August this year, and we have had a number of meetings and discussions with Mr. Grills and his solicitor since then. While we were not able to fully agree or fully support the extension of the hours or changes to conditions, we have continued to work with the premises licence holder throughout the consultation period and beyond to make the premises licence workable and appropriate for the style of premises that they are running and operating, while giving full consideration to the prevention of crime and disorder. As you will have heard, we have since agreed a schedule of conditions, which should have been circulated to you as a panel earlier this week. This does address some of the concerns that Sussex Police had around the change of operating style, e.g. the introduction of vertical drinking, as well as the removal of the food cafe style waiter-waitress service setup. Condition 2 of the new proposed conditions condition 1 of the new proposed conditions does ensure that Mr. Grill's company, Presuming Ed Limited, are the only ones able to carry out licensable activity at the premises. This ensures the consistency of ownership and operation that Presuming Ed have associated with for the last 9 years, and Sussex Police feel this is a real positive that we've been able to get agreement to conditions in place. Sussex Police are aware that the licensing decision-making matrix does support non-alcohol led offerings, which a performance-led or grassroots music venue could fall under if the alcohol hours are appropriate. So we are aware that Brighton and Hove City Council are supportive of live music offerings and more performance-led venues, and there is a current drive to preserve and uphold these. So while we wish to be supportive of venues of this nature that are music focused, we do still have to consider all licensing applications in light of the crime and disorder licensing objective. So when reviewing any application, consideration is given to the premises location and to establish if this area attracts problems relating to crime and disorder, which we have demonstrated that London Road is. The third part, so to amend conditions, current conditions 14 and 15 under Annex 3 into 3 conditions. These have obviously been looked at by the applicant. An alternative offered that Sussex Police have no objection to. You will see them listed in the full conditions that we have agreed to. We're not the experts in noise nuisance, but can see that thought has been given around these. And we did discuss around using the rear garden for longer, which was agreed. So the final part of the variation looks to amend the plan of the premises to show and reflect post-planning permission. We have no objection to the amending of the plan to encompass the first and second floors. This further supports the applicant's application, the premises, and will continue to be used as a performance and music venue. The theatre space is now shown on the first floor fully, as well as the studio and office space on the second floor. As I've mentioned, Sussex Police proposed amendment to the conditions have been put forward to the panel. I hope you've had a chance to read them. These have been fully agreed with the applicant. We do still have concerns around the later hours, but we're happy to listen to the applicant's reasoning around this and ask questions today around how they will manage the risk to crime and disorder and keep that minimalised. We're happy for these conditions to be used as a starting point and answer any questions around our decision making for these at the hearing today. So it's now really for the applicant to demonstrate how they will manage this based on what they are asking for. So the extra hours and the changes to conditions. It's for these reasons that Sussex Police would ask you, the committee, to seriously consider this application in light of local issues, but we also welcome submissions from the applicant as to how they will manage and mitigate risk to prevent the undermining of the prevention of crime, public safety and public nuisance licensing objectives. This may include amendments to timings, licensable activity or additional conditions, or it may be felt that this risk cannot be lessened. Thank you, Chair and panel.
Thank you very much, Claire. There's a lot there, so I'll go to questions from the panel, then our licensing officer, then the applicant. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Claire, sorry, just to go back to the start of your presentation, you mentioned the area around the proposed the venue, and you said it was 400 metres. And am I right in saying that that 400 metres takes in the front of Brighton Station
Yes, it would take in the front of Brighton
and
Station.
the top of the level?
And yes, the top of the level.
Thank you. So quite an interesting area, yeah.
Yes.
In terms of crime, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. I might have other questions, but I just wanted to make sure I had that clear in my head. Thank you, Claire.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Sam, any questions from you for Claire?
Yeah, I just obviously you've been in discussions since August, you said, with the owner and the company about this license change. I just wondered about your relationship with them before. Obviously, they've been operating now for 9 years, coming up for 10 years at some point very soon. And just wondered, have there been incidences? How has the premises been operated up until this point under its current license conditions?
I would say we do have a good relationship with Richard. Like, if I ever need to contact him and ask him any questions, he is pretty good at coming back to us. If we go in, we always have a good reception. And when things have needed to be amended, they have had a couple of temporary event notices. If we've asked for amendments or changes, they've always been agreed to. So I would say that we have a positive working relationship, yes.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I've got a couple of comments. Claire, you said that the particular concerns of the police licensing were changes to conditions 1, 2, 3, and 4 in Annex 3 of the original license. Changes 1 and 2 are probably the most substantive there, about table service only, no vertical drinking, and substantive food with all alcohol. 3 and 4, I thought were less substantive changes because they reflected more in the new conditions. Is that not your thinking? Have you still got concerns about the removal of conditions 3 and 4 in the original license?
So obviously conditions 3 and 4 were quite specific around the fact that they could have this extension that they now want all the time during the fringe, Great Escape and Alternative Escape. So obviously they are less of a concern in that it will be encompassed into the main thrust of the license, but obviously that is a big change in that granting an additional hour of license of activity every day, 365 days a year is different.
So that's encompassed in the extended hours, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so they're basically going to be moving to that style of operation just all the time. Okay,
great. And obviously no, that's fine. Actually, I think the other question I had, I think, is covered. Okay, I don't have any other questions. So that's us for the panel. Questions to Claire. Any questions from our licensing officer, Sarah Cornell, for the police?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the applicant for the police, or do you want to encompass those into? Okay, go for it.
So we haven't previously been provided with the crime statistics that you've provided today, and I just wanted to have clarification on whether you've had any issues at the premises itself, or whether you have had any reported issues that have been that you're aware of.
Okay, so I did have a look at Presuming Ed's record that we have here. Generally, in the last sort of 12 months, I can only see that there has been one instance, and it was that I'm sure Richard will probably be able to elaborate on, which was about a male at the end of last month who was refusing to leave and was trying to gain access to the venue.
He wasn't a customer. It was a lone wolf that we had to deal with.
Yeah,
I think I don't think. Sorry, I don't know if this is the right time to say it or not, but I think having a venue where I'm stood outside of most of the time is only going to help with the crime statistics. We seem to be the first ones there, generally because the police are so underfunded. We don't see them very often, so we had to intercept this really troubled fella, get security in, and God bless the BCRP. And then, fortunately, the police had to be called in. So we've had no incidents inside the building since we've opened in 11 years. Yes, there are issues on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to say that actually the venue did call security and the police, so that was dealt with very quickly. So yes, I would say that they are good at reporting things. And yes, it was not a customer. So that's the only interaction that police have been called in the last few years.
Okay, great. And the other thing I was going to mention as well is that Richard has used all his allowance for temporary event notices for the last 11 years. And I just wanted, again, clarification on whether you're aware of any issues whilst those temporary event notices were going ahead.
No, I do not believe that we have had any issues during those temporary event notices taking place.
Okay, no further questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the applicant. I've got a question from Paul, which I will allow. Go for it, Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Claire, you said the venue are currently good at reporting things. Does that mean, in your opinion, they make a positive contribution to safety in the area as they exist at the moment?
Well, so the instance that we were just discussing now happened at 10:41 p.m, so not in the early hours of the morning. But yes, I would say that, you know, they are open during the day as a cafe and then as a more performance space into the evening. And they have been a constant present for the last 9 years on London Road.
Thank you, Claire.
Another question from you.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to check, do we have any statistics on the increase? You know, they're asking to increase the license for an hour. You know, is there what would be the predominance of crime during that hour? Is that a is that a significant hour, or is actually things is that the kind of quiet hour between the clubs kicking out later and pubs kicking out slightly earlier? Or
so I did look at the heat map of timings, and we do see it drop off after 1 o'clock.
After 1
in
o'clock
that area,
okay.
At the weekends, and during the week, actually, looking at it now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, great. I don't have any additional questions, so I think we're now going to move to the applicant for your representation, please.
Thank you. So as local councillors, I'm sure that you know the area well, so I won't go into where it's located. But what I will say is that it is an area mixed with retail, commercial, cafes, restaurants and leisure uses at street level, with primarily residential premises above in existing traditional 2 or 3 story buildings. In terms of the applicant and his background, Richard is the director of PresEd and has been successfully running the premises since December 2014. He is the designated premises supervisor, and prior to running this premises, Richard did run Marwoods, which was also in the Brighton area and was within the council's cumulative impact zone. The operator's first owned business in hospitality was in Melbourne in 2004. He's worked in hospitality for the last 32 years. So the operator not only has vast experience in running premises in the hospitality sector, but he also has premises that have fallen within a cumulative impact area and is very experienced in dealing with such premises. The applicant is an independent businessman who entered into a lease with the council, and he maintains a strong and positive landlord and tenant relationship. So Richard himself, along with the general manager, whose name is Sam Pettimezes, they have completed the SIA training, not with the intention of assuming security roles, but to enhance their knowledge and understanding of best practices. This proactive approach demonstrates a commitment to safety and professionalism at the premises. So in terms of the premises use and the concept, the information provided with the application itself does set this out, but I will revisit this as it is quite an important aspect of the application. So the applicant is proud of the artistic and cultural nature of the premises and wishes to continue to develop this, and requires further flexibility in running the premises as a mixed-use space. Paragraph 1.7.1 of the Statement of Licensing Policy supports entrepreneurial activity, promoting the city's businesses and supporting growth of the creative industries sector. Paragraphs 1.8.1 to 1.8.3 of the licensing policy confirms that Brighton and Hove has taken a leading role in the national consortium, the Cultural Cities Network, and confirms that the cultural offer has grown through new festivals, venues and organisations developing. The applicant's vision is to operate a mixed-use community venue and to continue and contribute to the cultural and artistic offering in the locality and promote inclusivity. The applicant is a member of Music Venue Alliance for Brighton, the Music Venues Trust, Brighton Actors Network Group, Brighton Filmmakers, Brighton Actors and Filmmakers, Brighton Animation, Brighton Poetry, and I can go on, including Brighton Fringe, because that's an important one. So the premises supports local artists and displays eclectic artwork on its internal walls and ceilings. The proposal seeks flexibility to host diverse events and activities aligned with Brighton's cultural and entrepreneurial objectives. The applicant proposes to run a mixed-use event space for the whole community and provide a creative space to encourage networking, pitching ideas, polishing concepts that will generate independent and creative businesses, as well as providing a safe space accessible to all, including groups that might feel marginalised or isolated, such as those with physical and mental challenges and LGBTQ+. And the applicant would like to host more events associated with Brighton festivals, host short film festivals, as well as in-house pop-up kitchen events with local chefs and cooking crews. The proposal is to expand uses and to cater for the increasing demand for venues to hold meetings, screenings, theatrical events, and the ever-increasing influx of remote workers. And you do get quite a lot of remote workers, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, and we'll have more soon.
Sorry, and
We'll have more soon if we get
more
the
soon, yeah.
first floor happening.
So the applicant proposes to continue to run a cafe offering during the day and bar, and that's on the ground floor, but also to use it as a bar in the evening as a venue for local bands and DJs. It is proposed that the first floor will be used for private meetings and functions and supporting local businesses, local artists, exhibitions, a space for digital artists, graphic designers and creative coders, an XR hub for digital animation and film game and VR development, a networking and innovation space for Brighton professionals and students, a quiet place to attract a more dynamic age group and demographic with the opportunity to hold private meetings, workshops, media tech related events throughout the day and evening. It's a venue for theatre performances, local bands and DJs, and a further bar for customers and guests. So in terms of the demographic, we get all ages at the premises, up to 90 years of age. There, in terms of inclusivity, it's just for the whole community. It's just all inclusive, and I think it supports what Brighton stands for.
We sat down and went, and Joanna said, "What are you doing?" And I feel like a marketing pamphlet. We're touching so many circles and getting so many groups together. It's quite exhausting. So I just like to be able to put an exhibition so people can have a glass of wine while they're standing up. Sorry, it's very frustrating for me. I'm quite emotional, which is why the brains is.
Richard is very passionate about this, and you know he's an independent businessman, but this is his baby, and this is something that he's so passionate about and really wants to expand in line with the vision of Brighton. So we hope that the panel will see that and support this application today. In terms of the locality of the premises, they do not fall within a cumulative impact area, but they do fall within the council's special stress area, as set out in the policy, in the statement of licensing policy. The special stress area borders the cumulative impact zone and is deemed an area of special concern in terms of the levels of crime and disorder and public nuisance experienced within it. Paragraph 3.2.3 of the licensing policy states that varied applications for premises will not be subject to the presumption of refusal, but operators will be expected to pay special attention when drawing up their operating schedules to make positive proposals to ensure their operation will not add to the problems faced in these areas. The applicant would submit that special attention has been given in drawing up the operating schedule and robust conditions have been proposed to ensure the operation will not add to the problems faced in these areas. This has further since been extended with the conditions agreed with the police. Now, at planning application stage, an acoustic consultant was engaged, and the report and noise management plan was compiled and accepted, and the measures proposed within the report are to be implemented. Now, I know obviously planning is separate, but it is relevant for the purposes of this application in terms of potential noise issues, because there are measures in place that have been extended not only from planning, but from a licensing perspective as well, and is reflected in the conditions offered. In the applicant's operating schedule, it was explained that he has obtained planning permission to change the use of the premises from ground floor cafe restaurant to cafe bar and live performance venue, and the first floor from existing performing arts, meeting rooms, rehearsal space and staff accommodation to function meeting rooms, exhibition space, bar and live performance venue. The variation to the premises licence is in line with the granted planning permission. Paragraph 1.9.3 of the Statement of Licensing Policy says, quote, where appropriate, when considering planning applications within the above policy framework, planning conditions can be attached to the permissions to safeguard amenity and mitigate cumulative impact, unquote. The applicant has, where appropriate, added the approved planning conditions to the proposed licensing conditions to safeguard amenity, mitigate cumulative impact, and in the spirit of consistency. If I just draw your attention now to paragraph 3.2.4 of the licensing policy, this says that on receipt of any application in a special stress area where a relevant representation has been made, the licensing authority will scrutinise the application carefully and will look at the measures proposed in the operating schedule and compare them to the measures set out in Appendix A, licensing best practice measures, which has been included within the bundle. Paragraph 3.2.4 of the Statement of Licensing Policy says that on receipt of any application in a special stress area where a relevant apologies, I'm just repeating what I've just said. So I will move on to the matrix approach. So paragraph 3.3 of the Statement of Licensing Policy sets out the matrix approach adopted by the local authority. 3.3.1 states that diversity of premises ensures there is a mix of different types of licensed premises and attracts a more diverse range of customers from different age groups, different communities, and with different attitudes to alcohol consumption. It gives potential for positively changing the ambience of the city or an area of it. This will have a positive effect in reducing people's fear of crime and in increasing the numbers of evening visitors to the city centre. Now, these premises that are the subject of today's meeting are very much in support of this. Whilst the vast majority of customers are local, there is also a good attendance by tourists who are there to watch comedy, theatre and cabaret, plus film screenings. The age range, as I mentioned previously, is up to 90 years of age. The premises promotes diversity and all members of the community are welcome. This reflects the vibrant and all-inclusive nature of Brighton. Paragraph 3.3.2 states a framework of what the licensing authority would like to see within its areas and gives an indication of the likelihood of success of otherwise to investor and businesses making applications. There is a table included within the licensing policy which sets out the timings for licensable activities for various types of venues and depending upon the location. It is the applicant's position, and I know that there might be some opposition in this, that there is no venue category which wholly encompasses these premises within that matrix, and it is most likely to fall within non-alcohol led, e.g. theatre, in view of the cultural element of the premises and the fact that it is not a pub or nightclub. The table contained at paragraph 3.2 states, yes, favourable for such premises which fall within a special stress area. Now, we note the hours are not defined, but we would expect that these would exceed those hours specified for pubs, which is 11 o'clock at night, in special stress areas, and also for restaurants and late night takeaway venues, which is midnight within special stress areas. The applicant knows, and I know this has been mentioned previously today, that there is a new Statement of Licensing Policy currently underway in draft form, but which is shortly to be implemented next year and subject to approval in December. We note that the special stress area will remain the same and that will not change. We also note that the matrix approach for licensing decisions under the new policy is that grassroots music venues can have licensable activities until 1 a.m. in a special stress area. We would submit that these premises qualify as a grassroots music venue, and we would ask the panel to take this into account when considering and reaching its decision. Now, in terms of pre-application discussions, as Claire mentioned and also Corinne, We did enter into pre-application discussions with both licensing and the police, and also environmental health. Licensing and the police attended a site visit on the 20th of August of this year, and environmental health were satisfied that they would be updated by licensing following the site visit. We did refer environmental protection to the noise management plan, which was submitted with the acoustic report for planning, as various mitigation measures would be undertaken in line with that permission. No objections have been received by environmental health, and there are no concerns raised in this respect. In terms of the two objections made, as we know, and we've gone through these today, one was by the licensing authority and the second was by the police. Now, whilst objections have been made by these two responsible authorities, both authorities have taken the view that the subcommittee panel should decide the outcome of the application due to the premises falling within a special stress area and due to the change in conditions proposed, which were placed on the licence following a hearing on the 20th of July 2016. Now, certainly the applicant's view after the site visit was that these authorities were not completely opposed to the idea, but they just felt that because the premises fell within a special stress area and because of the change in licensing conditions, that this should be heard properly and decided. In terms of the objection by licensing, this is put in on the basis of prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. The licensing authority refers to the statement of licensing policy at 3.2.3, which has already been referred to, and the applicant submits that special attention has been given in drawing up the operating schedule and robust conditions have been proposed. Further detailed conditions have since been agreed, as we know, with the police and circulated to licensing in readiness for this hearing today. The applicant does have a good track record of running the premises without any issues, and this has been confirmed by the police today. In their objection, licensing referred to the guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, in that applicants are expected to have regard to the statement of licensing policy for their area and are expected to include positive proposals in their application on how they will manage potential risks. Where specific policies apply in the area, applicants are expected to demonstrate an understanding of how the policy impacts on their application, any measures taken to mitigate impact, and why they consider the application should be an exception to the policy. It is the applicant's view that it is not seeking an exception to the policy, in that this is a cultural venue and arts focus, and there is an arts focus on the premises, meaning that it does not fall within a classic pub or restaurant premises and is more in line with a non-alcohol-led, e.g. theatre type venue, set out within the matrix table, which says yes, favourable in terms of the hours for licensable activities. Now, should the panel take an alternative view, the applicant would submit that the exceptional circumstances in this case would include consulting with the key responsible authorities prior to submitting the application and having a site meeting with both police and licensing at the premises itself. The panel should also consider the clear community contribution to offset impact and the fact that the provision of alcohol will be ancillary to the premises operating as a cafe, bar and live performance venue on the ground floor, and ancillary to the premises operating as a function meeting room, exhibition space, live performance venue and bar on the first floor. And this is reflected in the new conditions which have been agreed with police, which states that the provision of alcohol premises shall be ancillary to the premises operating as, and it specifies what they will be operating as. One thing that I would like to make clear is that in the proposed conditions, and this hasn't previously been corrected, it says that the ground floor will be a cafe, bar and live performance venue, and the first and second floors will be function meeting rooms, exhibition space, live performance venue and bar, but the second floor is actually an office space with residential, isn't it? Yeah. So the second floor won't be included in the function meeting rooms, exhibition space, etc. So just to clarify that. Okay, so again, the new statement of licensing policy currently in draft form, but which will shortly be hopefully implemented, states that in the matrix under that policy that grassroots music venues can have licensable activities until 1 AM in special stress areas, and we would ask that the panel take into account this and would submit that these premises qualify as a grassroots music venue. So in relation to the concern regarding public nuisance, no real detail has been provided in this respect, and the applicant would like to draw the panel's attention to the fact that an acoustic consultant was engaged at planning permission stage, sound testing was undertaken, and a report and noise management plan was compiled and was accepted, and the measures proposed within the report are to be implemented. The applicant has offered up conditions that all amplified music will be controlled by a noise limiter in line with the levels agreed with the local authority, that notices will be displayed both within the premises and in the enclosed yard, asking customers to be quiet and respect the needs of local residents. And it has been agreed that the applicants will have written dispersal on vulnerability policies in place. This was not a quick application, and vast consideration and consultation took place prior to submitting the application. Environmental Health has not objected to the application, which indicates that there are no concerns in this respect. Now, in regard to the objection by police, they refer to the matrix on page 18, which they say suggests that the premises hours are a no, and the applicant's position is that the statement of licensing policy does not properly define these types of premises, and if it were to fall within the category venue, the most appropriate would be the non-alcohol led e.g. theatre, due to the arts and cultural focus again of the premises, which is ancillary to the operation of the premises. So since the objection submitted by police, as we know, conditions have been agreed, and these are robust, and as you can see, there are a number of conditions that have been agreed there. And they do support the fact that the provision of alcohol will be ancillary to the operation. So the inclusion in the licence conditions of the grassroots venue conditions is one that was proposed by police, and as we understand it, the police are aware and supportive of this being categorised as a grassroots music venue on the basis that the new licensing policy is adopted. The police acknowledge in their representation that the applicant did consult with them, but as the premises licence was originally heard by the licensing panel, they felt it appropriate again to be considered by a panel, and in regard to the additional conditions being proposed. So again, I would like to add, and we touched on this earlier, that the operator has used its full allowance of temporary event notices for the premises over the last 11 years, and events have operated without any issue. And that's all from me for now, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much, Joanna. I'm sure we have questions. We've got one already from Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. So, Joanna, you say that the consumption of alcohol will be ancillary to the purpose of the venue, which will be as an artistic hub. I guess that's what you described. So, just out of interest, how many events per week will be taking place in the venue?
During Fringe, it'll be every day. We're hoping to do three. Well, I mean, on the first floor we have comedy and theatre and stuff happening 5 days a week, and downstairs we'll be looking at doing 2 or 3 days, or 2 or 3 nights, plus the markets, Christmas markets, day markets, kilo sales, that kind of thing.
So Richard, is it correct that it depends on the time of year? So in the quieter months, presumably it would be confined to mostly weekends, but you just want the flexibility, is that right?
Yeah. It would be very helpful. We could use all the 10s just in May.
Okay.
We have to spread them out, which can be a bit frustrating, but that's how it works.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Sam?
Yeah, can I just ask about, are you a member of the Brighton Crime Partnership?
Yes, it's part of the original licence.
Okay,
so
cool, brilliant.
16
Sorry.
years now. No, it's okay.
And can you tell me about your vulnerability policies? And are you a member? Do you operate an Ask Angela policy as well in the premises?
Yeah, we do. The staff have all just done spiking awareness courses. They've all got personal licences.
Brilliant. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
We have compiled a vulnerability policy, and that was circulated to the police. But we can obviously circulate that to licensing as well if they would like to see it.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a few sort of questions and comments. I think what we occasionally hear on these sort of panels is that when extended hours are requested, it's the premises. So you need to give us these extra hours because otherwise we're not viable as a business. And I'm just wondering if these additional hours weren't granted, would that affect viability, or is it more an effect on the nature of the offer that you're trying to move towards? So is it sort of inherent in the sort of the business model, is what I'm saying, or is it more sort of inherent in becoming an artistic hub performance space?
We're trying to move forward. It's going to give us a lot more options. We've been going okay. It's definitely going to help. But particularly in the summer, find people are out later. They don't want to, go in. It just gives us a lot more options. So really answering the question.
And I would also say that it might even help dispersal, because not everybody is going to want to stay until that time, and it might help with a more gradual dispersal and also staggered dispersal as well. As we know, when lots of premises close at the same time, there's more people on the streets, and so potentially there will be less if it opens later. And also Richard is trying to make these premises successful. He's a businessman. He's really trying to make a go of these premises and trying to just grow with it and expand.
I don't know, being open to 1 a.m.'s necessarily going to work, but it's a gamble I really want to take. At the moment, people are starting at my place and then heading into town. So yeah, it's a gamble.
Okay, yeah, because it's going to cost you money as well, isn't it, Sam?
Yes, very much so.
The project itself is costing you a lot of money, isn't it? So it's just trying to make it more viable and trying to make it a success.
I've very recently gone completely grey.
Okay, sorry.
And we'll.
Sorry about that. Sam.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if just say, for example, we didn't grant this and you had to continue using TENS licenses, how many licenses would you have liked to have had, just roughly? Because obviously there is a limit at the moment on TENS licenses. So I'm just curious about how many nights, say, if this had been last year, if you'd had free reign with TENS, how many licenses could you have probably fulfilled without too much hassle?
You get 14 a year, and if you go over midnight, that's 2.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we could have used 30 we could use 35 during the fringe.
Right. Okay. All right. And the rest of the year?
If this is actually why we put the application in, we have so many offers with people calling from Australia through my previous places that want to come down and play last minute. If we can't, we've got to get a 10 application. It'll take a week or so, depending whether I get it wrong.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, that's just where I was. I just wanted to kind of clarify, what was for you, what was your business model. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Right. Sorry, I've got a couple more. I mean, again, this is sort of, I'm being slightly challenging. It just strikes me that you're almost you're trying to be everything to everybody almost in the number of different elements to this. There's a bit of sort of remote workspace, a la sort of Platform 9, and it seems it's a little bit counterintuitive putting that alongside some of the other sort of the performance-led spaces. I mean, how do you have you got an existing sort of workspace provision element to what you do?
Well, we started as a cafe. It was originally a cafe, and then we applied for the alcohol license. So we already had that group of people. The evenings, once we had the alcohol license, gave us the opportunity to sort of I'm trying to think of the words.
Just to expand.
Just you move from the daytime into the evening.
Yeah, to transition.
But we kept the coffee machine on, it's amazing when people want coffee late at night. We have a lot of non-alcoholic beer. We're doing 60 litres of non-alcoholic beer on tap and various other things. So it's kind of it's sort of seamless. It's it's like a bodega kind of feeling, like more of a European breakfast, lunch, dinner, evening.
And you've always had comedy events at the premises on the first floor.
Yeah.
And it's always been artistic, hasn't it? It's always had that twist.
It does sound like a marketing pamphlet, but we're actually doing it, I promise you. It's just kind of how it's naturally, it's been an organic. There was never really a business plan as such. It's just organically become what it is, and hopefully will continue.
All right. The pop-up kitchen, local chefs element, is that stuff you do already, or you see sort of a market opening there? What's the nature of that offer?
Well, we have the cabaret room, so we could potentially put in a one long bench for 24 people and do the last dinner at the Titanic. That's something we can already do. It'd be nice if they could stand up and cheers each other while they're having a drink. We've had a few pop-ups and a few franchises through already. So there's a lot of people out there that can't afford to start a restaurant and get from scratch. So we're hoping it's going to help us and give them a little boost as well.
Okay, thank you. And the conditions, the new conditions say you're going to serve food until an hour before you close. Is that right, or an hour before midnight? Remind me, it's slightly different to the original conditions. But what's the nature of the food?
It's going to be available until 1 hour before closing.
Yeah,
that's
at the minimum. Depending on what we're looking at, doing some tapestry things. There's some different other bits to add to it as well. Obviously, once we have the license, it makes it a lot easier.
Okay. All right, thank you. And just for my information, you've got XR, and VR/VR in there. I think I know what VR stands for, but what does VR/VR mean, and what does XR mean?
Virtual reality. We've got a couple of studios. We've got a studio with 3 or 4 of the most talented people in Brighton, if I do say so myself. So they're doing animation. They teach at Sussex and Brighton advertising animation. It's a collective of electronic art mostly. So some of it is projected. There's people flying in and out all the time.
Okay. Well, what does XR stand for? If not Extinction Rebellion?
No. We had that. We had to meet with them. It's all. I don't know. It's all of everything else combined.
Yeah.
It's another acronym. I don't.
It's very technical.
Maybe it's augmented reality and virtual reality. All right.
Okay. I just give them the space, and then they tell me what's happening, and I agree.
You don't know what they're up to. Sounds a bit
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, no, okay, that's fine. I don't think I have any further questions. Anything further occurred to you, councillors?
No, I'm happy. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from Sarah for the Licensing Authority?
Hi, thank you. Just one question, just about one of the proposed conditions. Obviously, environmental health didn't put in a representation, and we're happy with the conditions you proposed in your operating schedule. I just wondered if the panel were minded to grant the application, if you'd be happy with a slight tweak to one of the conditions under prevention of public nuisance. Just from our point of view, and I know from environmental health's point of view, it's condition 26.
That's in the proposed conditions, is it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And obviously it's for discussion. Just wanted to bring it up because at the moment it states that the levels will be set at, that the system, the limiter, will be set at levels agreed with the local authority.
Yeah.
But that generally only happens in environmental health, and I've had discussions with them when there's noise complaints. So then they would ask, so what I wondered if we could tweak it to be set at levels to be notified to the local authority. If everyone's
we have an acoustic report telling us where we should be at, and it's actually being installed as we speak.
Brilliant. Okay, so it's just a literal. I can put the thing in the chat if people would like me to, just so you can see where I'm coming from. But it just means that the local authority haven't got to set them, but you've got to set them and just notify the local authority. So
totally happy to do that.
And can I just reinforce the fact that has been dealt with at planning, and it has been in terms of the noise testing and the report. It hasn't been agreed.
Yes.
So it's been agreed. We're happy to notify on that, so that's not an issue.
Okay, brilliant. I'll just pop that slight tweak into the chat so everyone's aware of what I'm referring to. But that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and that's been agreed with the applicant. So we'll consider that when we retire. Okay. Any questions from the police for the applicant?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Great. I think that's everything then. So I think now we move to summaries, unless someone tells me I'm doing this wrong. So summaries, first of all, from our licensing officer, please. Yeah, thanks. Is that you, Corinne? Yeah.
It is, yes. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
So this has been a hearing for an application for a variation of premises licence for Presuming Ed situated at 114 to 115 London Road, Brighton. The application proposes to licence the first floor and extend the current terminal hour for all licensable activities from midnight until 1 a.m. every day, with the premises closing at 1:30 a.m, and to extend hours on New Year's Eve from the end of permitted hours on New Year's Eve to the beginning of permitted hours on New Year's Day. You have now heard from all the parties present and seen the written representations, and also the conditions proposed by Sussex Police that the applicant has confirmed they are agreeable to being placed on the licence if the panel are minded to grant the variation, apart from the tweak in condition 2 to remove the second floor and also the wording at 26 that Sarah has just referred to. Licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives, in the overall interest of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations, including any supporting information presented by all the parties, the guidance, and its own statement of licensing policy. It is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. After considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to such conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule. If the panel decide to grant the variation, then any conditions added to the licence to meet the licensing objectives should be clear, precise, and enforceable. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the variation on the grounds that this is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Corinne. So then now we'll go to the responsible authorities, and I'll ask Sarah and then Claire.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep it very brief. So as you've heard, the Licensing Authority act as guardians of the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, and I've made the representation on behalf of the Licensing Authority and invite the panel to consider the application and everything that's been said today and decide if it constitutes exceptional circumstances to depart from our existing policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Claire?
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it brief as well. So you've heard today that we have agreed strong and extensive conditions which tie the venue to be a mixed art and performance venue, as well as the PLH and DPS to the venue to ensure that Richard Grills remains a strong part of it. The extension of licensable activity remains a concern for police in light of the local crime and disorder issues. Conditions around SAA on a Friday and Saturday night have been agreed, as well as continued membership of the BCRP and MSU provision. So it may be felt by you, the panel, that this can be managed through conditions. We would therefore ask you, the committee today, to consider this application in light of what you've heard. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. And finally, a summary from the applicant, please.
Okay, so the applicant obviously seeks to vary the premises licence to allow greater flexibility for mixed-use cultural and community activities. The premises has operated successfully since 2014 under an experienced operator with a strong compliance record. The proposed variation aligns with planning permission already granted and supports Brighton's cultural and creative industries as encouraged by the licensing policy. The venue promotes diversity, provides a safe and inclusive space, and contributes positively to the city's cultural offering through events, exhibitions, and grassroots music. While the premises is located within a special stress area, the applicant has taken robust steps to mitigate potential risks, including engaging an acoustic consultant, implementing a noise management plan, and agreeing detailed and robust conditions with the police. Environmental health has raised no objections. Under the current and proposed new statements of licensing policies, the matrix approach supports non-alcohol-led and grassroots music venues, permitting licensable activities as yes, favourable, and until 1 AM in the new policy, should this be granted. The applicant submits that the premises qualifies as a grassroots music venue and requests the panel to consider this when determining the application. In conclusion, the applicant has demonstrated exceptional circumstances, extensive pre-application consultation, and a clear commitment to upholding the licensing objectives. Approval of this variation will enable the premises to continue contributing to Brighton's vibrant cultural landscape and to promote diversity. Now, there will be a significant amount of work to floor one, which is anticipated to take place during the course of next year. If the committee are minded to grant the application, we would invite the committee to permit the varied licence to be used on a floor-by-floor basis. Whilst this is a single variation application, the works that need to be done for planning and licensing does need to be phased. The first stage will be to enable the ground floor to be used, and we are asking for the application to be granted in its entirety, but that the applicant will be using the ground floor even though works to the first floor have not yet commenced. Just to remind the panel that the applicant is a local independent businessman. He has and is investing a lot of money into this as a tenant of the council. We respectfully ask the committee to grant the variation to this licence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. That's all our summaries. Do we have any closing comments from our legal advisor, Rebecca?
No, not really. Well, I just your last statement there. Does that mean the conditions will still apply though? If you're saying if the panel obviously was minded to grant, but floor by floor basis. I mean, there's condition 5, a minimum of 50% of the. I mean, would those conditions still apply?
So the seating is on the ground floor, so that would still apply. Yes, all the conditions would still apply. It's just that the first floor wouldn't be used in that way until it could comply with the conditions. But if the ground floor is ready, before the first floor is, which that's what we do anticipate. We would like that to be phased.
Okay, so it doesn't have any implications for the conditions as such, but it's just
no.
So we just want to be able to operate the ground floor while we're building the first and second floors. Yeah, right. I'm incredibly proud of what we're building, and I'm really excited to kick on. I know this probably sounds overly earnest and ridiculous, but give us a shot, please help.
I think it's been a long process. It's from the planning stage to
it's been 3 years. 2 years.
Pre-application.
Yeah.
We did start with pre-application with planning as well, so it has been. It hasn't been a quick process at all. So I think that's why he's anxious to move forward with it.
Yeah, no. Obviously, it's for the panel to make that.
Yes.
Decision. No, I don't, unless the panel's got any questions of me, and I don't think I've got anything further to add.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously until we make a decision, then the previous conditions need to be adhered to, and after we've made a decision, if that's a change, then future conditions. So whatever the phasing of the project, then you have the conditions, and you need to sort of abide by those. I think that's quite straightforward. Okay, so right, we're going to retire to make our decision. We'll be accompanied by our legal advisor and the clerks of the panel, but they will take no part in the decision-making process, and we will let the applicant know within 5 working days, including sort of any appeal rights to the decision. So, thank you very much to everyone for attending today. And panel, clerk and legal advisor will reconvene in 5 minutes after a brief comfort break to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.